The U.S. Department of Justice just made a move that could shift the balance of constitutional power in America, a move that legal analysts are calling one of the biggest federal pivots since Bruin. For decades, the DOJ's role has been simple: defend federal regulations, coordinate with states, and enforce gun-related laws across the country. But that era may be ending. In a stunning policy announcement, the Justice Department is preparing a brand new division, a Second Amendment Rights Section, a federal unit dedicated not to restricting firearms, not to expanding federal controls, but to protecting a constitutional right, just like the DOJ protects voting rights, disability rights, or civil rights. This could rewrite legal strategy in every courtroom, every state house, and every federal agency. If you care about constitutional law, civil liberties, or how courts interpret freedoms in 2025 and beyond, hit that subscribe button, because what's unfolding right now is nothing less than historic. Why the DOJ is making this move? This proposed section didn't appear out of nowhere. It is emerging because the legal environment surrounding the Second Amendment has shifted more in the last few years than in the previous decade. 1. The Bruin Decision, 2022. In 2022, the U.S. Supreme Court introduced a new legal test for evaluating firearm regulations. Under this test, any gun-related law must be consistent with America's historical legal tradition, not just modern policy preferences. This single ruling reshaped how courts evaluate permitting systems, age-related carry rules, sensitive location restrictions, and dozens of active federal and state-level cases. Courts now look closely at how past laws compare to today's regulations, which has led to new interpretations and ongoing reviews. 2. States remain sharply divided. After Bruin, states took different paths. Some states expanded carry rights, while others added new rules or strengthened existing restrictions. Because these laws differ so much, many states are now asking courts to determine what Bruin truly requires. This has created a nationwide mix of legal challenges, appeals, and temporary orders, all focused on how constitutional standards should be applied. 3. Federal agencies need consistent guidance. Federal prosecutors and legal offices have been using different approaches depending on the region, because the guidance coming from courts is still evolving. The Department of Justice believes that creating a dedicated Second Amendment section could help provide uniform, stable, and constitutionally grounded direction across all states. The goal, according to officials, is to ensure that federal enforcement remains consistent, predictable, and aligned with court rulings, no matter which state a case originates from. What the Second Amendment Rights Section would do. This discussion is not about weapons or their use. It focuses on how constitutional standards are interpreted and enforced through law. Legal experts say a specialized DOJ section could help ensure state regulations follow Supreme Court rulings, especially as Second Amendment cases continue to grow. Such a unit would review state laws for constitutional consistency, provide clear legal guidance to federal agencies, and present coordinated federal positions in court cases. It would also track major rulings nationwide, helping policymakers respond to legal changes with clarity instead of confusion. Just as the DOJ oversees voting rights, religious freedom, and free speech, this approach would apply the same legal framework to Second Amendment interpretation, focused on law, not politics. How states could react. Reactions to the creation of a new federal section are expected to vary from state to state. States with more restrictive regulatory approaches may respond cautiously, as increased federal involvement could bring closer legal review and a stronger focus on whether existing laws meet constitutional standards. This may require states to more clearly justify how their regulations align with established legal precedent. States that already maintain broader legal protections may view this development more positively, since their policies tend to align with recent court interpretations and may face fewer conflicts. For states still adjusting to updated constitutional guidance, a centralized federal approach could offer clearer direction, promote consistency, and help reduce the legal uncertainty that has persisted in recent years. Impact on court cases. The introduction of a specialized federal section could gradually influence how constitutional cases are presented and reviewed in court. Consistent federal positions. When different federal offices present varying interpretations, courts can receive mixed signals. A centralized legal team could help present a clearer and more consistent federal perspective. Faster response to major rulings. Supreme Court decisions often require updates across multiple agencies. A focused section could help ensure that new legal standards are reflected more quickly in federal filings and guidance. Improved constitutional analysis. Courts increasingly rely on detailed historical and legal context. A team dedicated to research and precedent could assist in providing well-supported constitutional analysis. Greater stability in case outcomes. With clearer and more consistent federal input, court decisions may become less fragmented and more predictable across jurisdictions. Overall, this approach has the potential to improve clarity, consistency, and confidence in how complex constitutional cases are handled. Impact on court cases. The introduction of a specialized federal section could gradually influence how constitutional cases are presented and reviewed in court. Consistent federal positions. When different federal offices present varying interpretations, courts can receive mixed signals. A centralized legal team could help present a clearer and more consistent federal perspective. Faster response to major rulings. Supreme Court decisions often require updates across multiple agencies. A focus section could help ensure that new legal standards are reflected more quickly in federal filings and guidance. Improved constitutional analysis. Courts increasingly rely on detailed historical and legal context. A team dedicated to research and precedent could assist in providing well-supported constitutional analysis. Greater stability in case outcomes. With clearer and more consistent federal input, court decisions may become less fragmented and more predictable across jurisdictions. Overall, this approach has the potential to improve clarity, consistency, and confidence in how complex constitutional cases are handled. What this means for lawful Americans. This is not about showing anyone how to use or obtain firearms. It's purely about understanding the law. If such a section were created, it could make citizens much more aware of what the Supreme Court has actually ruled, reducing confusion about legal protections. State regulations could become more transparent, requiring stronger historical and legal reasoning for firearm laws, which would make them easier to understand and compare. Clear legal guidance could also help reduce the spread of misinformation online, as people would have accurate information instead of relying on speculation. At the same time, rules that conflict with constitutional standards could be identified and challenged more quickly, helping ensure compliance across all states. The federal government might even publish detailed educational resources explaining Second Amendment rights, court interpretations, and practical legal guidance, benefiting citizens, researchers, and educators. Overall, having official clarification would allow public discussions about gun laws to focus on facts and history rather than myths and assumptions. What this means for 2026 and the future. The U.S. is heading toward a significant legal turning point, with many states already debating topics like permitless carry, sensitive location lists, age restrictions, magazine policies, transport rules, and other new legislative proposals. A federal Second Amendment section could bring much-needed clarity, helping states understand that their laws must meet federal scrutiny while speeding up court challenges that might otherwise drag on for years without guidance. It could also create a national baseline, not by making all laws identical, but by establishing clearer expectations across the country. Over time, Second Amendment cases could receive the same level of attention as other major civil rights issues, marking a structural shift in how the federal government approaches constitutional protections. Beyond the courts, this development is likely to shape politics, elections, and national debates, becoming a major talking point in campaigns and policymaking by 2026. Clear legal guidance could reduce confusion, ensure compliance, and allow public discussions to focus on facts and history rather than speculation or misinformation. The creation of a Second Amendment rights section inside the U.S. Department of Justice is more than a policy idea. It's a signal that the federal government is preparing for a new era of constitutional enforcement. This won't eliminate debate. This won't end lawsuits, but it will change how those battles are fought. Courts, states, and agencies will operate under a clearer, more consistent legal structure. And that could redefine the national conversation for years. If you want real breakdowns, court updates, and constitutional analysis explained in simple English, you're in the right place.